Welcome to In the Good Company podcast, Anna Tsui. Finally.
Thanks for having me, Anna, fellow Anna.
I'm so excited to have you here. I was waiting for our conversation for a while now. You are a best-selling author. You have an amazing book that helped hundreds and thousands of people work, deal, heal their shadow. You are energy healer. You are a energy teacher. You are a coach, business coach, spiritual business coach, which is a very interesting angle. What else? What about you're a mom?
Yes, a
TikTok
mom.
star. TikTok star. What I'm missing?
And you know what? I'm a wife who is learning so much about masculine and feminine energy through my marriage. And I got to tell you, I am more and more convinced every day, Anna, that the woman is meant to be the leader. In the movie Big Fat Greek Wedding, there's also a saying, it might be actually like Eastern European too, where, the man is the head of the house and
Yeah.
the woman is the neck. And we need to be using that, ladies. Like, we need to be turning this head in the direction where we want to go. And I feel that way with the world now. You see, you heard the term the bro oligarchs, like the bro
Yeah.
oligarchs, all of the,
Yeah.
the people who were at the presidential inauguration for some reason. Yeah, the women in their lives, like, I just want to have like a big speakerphone. And it's like, Priscilla Chan, control your man, turn him from the dark side. This is your job, right? Like, come on, it would make a big difference.
Yeah. Such a great point. I think it's still going to happen. I think women are going to save us from all this chaos. That's how I see it. But such a good point. I never thought about women behind these men and what is happening there.
Yeah, because it has been a patriarchy, so there really aren't a lot of women in these high positions of power, because not because we're not brilliant, it's because we've literally been squished down every opportunity that we get. And some of us are just finding ourselves, like, in any situation where the man probably has more finances, more power, more whatever, right? And we enable that to happen because we multiply resources. But like, did we ever think about, wait a second, maybe I have more control over this relationship, this conversation than I thought? And especially if, let's say, your partner is running a company and has employees, and that company has clients, you could really affect the ethics, the culture, the perspective that he has running his company. Imagine if, what Jeff Bezos, I don't know if that his wife or whatever, if she was like, hey, Jeff, maybe you should give your employees a bit more health care. Maybe you should give them a little bit more rest so they're not dropping dead during holiday rush season. Every year during the holidays, like, Amazon employees drop dead because of overexhaustion.
Yeah.
It's a toxic place. And what if just one woman who has a lot of influence could whisper in his ear, hey, like, I would appreciate you so much more if I know you're such a philanthropic person, and all of these people who look up to you, maybe why don't you just give them a little bit of a raise, or why don't you, like, I think it would make a big difference. I really do, Anna.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. But now when I'm thinking about this women, like, I don't think so. That's Lauren's Sanchez agenda MO.
I don't think so
I
either.
think she's running more of the masculine with all femininity that she expressing out. I think her code and her energy is more masculine and her values.
I know, and
So
that's so
because
sad. The same with
about
Melania. The same
what?
with Melania. Melania is like refusing to go the way ever. She's kind of like our hero in the sense, like, I will not put up with you. You have to pay me. So, like, word on the street is she gets paid like $250,000 every time she shows up in public with her husband, who's president of the United States. And what if Melania just was like, hey, Donnie, maybe you should extend some health care to the people. She has so much power, and it is sad, like you said, like, it's not her agenda. She did it for herself. She did it for her
Yeah.
son Barron. Like, they're all set. They have a $40 million Amazon deal, like, insane. But what if she was just like, hey, Donnie, maybe you could help people out a little bit more? Like, that would be, we would appreciate that too, Melania.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a what is it, the public statement for Melania and Lauren and
Melania, Lauren, Priscilla, pay attention. Listen
yeah.
to this podcast.
Yeah, I think it takes specific women to stand behind guy like this, and I don't think so. Again, I'm just worried that those are there are the less nurturing part, the ones, and the less collective thinking. But I don't know. Anna, let's talk about you. Let's talk about the Melanias of this world. Who cares?
This is the stuff I think about, Anna. I think about
I know. That's why we went. That's why we connect, because I also like wonder. You always bring me to the interesting points. Okay, but let's talk about you. How did you get here? How did you get to this, point of success and doing all kind of different things, right? Like we talked about it before, even when we were working together, and I was going through my moment of, but people are going to be confused. I do so many different things, and we talked about owning all different parts of ourselves and expressing them and putting them to the world as a gift versus wondering who is going to say what. How did you get here, and what is your why behind majority things or all the things you do? Maybe there's a one why.
Yeah, my why right now is I am like you, Anna. I see myself as, the term light worker is like the closest I can come to, but someone who really deeply cares about humanity, deeply cares about the world, and deeply cares about individual people. And I see all the time, story of my life, the most caring, compassionate, talented, loving people are the ones who kind of get hurt a lot, and we're
Yeah.
very sensitive and we're empaths, but also we stop ourselves from taking up space. We stop ourselves from really having the impact and claiming the power that we need to have, because we need to be the ones changing the world. Because right now, the people in charge, not so great, not so great. But then I see time and time again, because I've been an entrepreneur for over a decade, like, so long, and most of my friends are entrepreneurs. So I've seen a lot of kind of entrepreneurs with less integrity.
Yeah.
They're the ones getting rich. They're the ones getting funding. They're the ones, like getting all of these like clients and all that stuff. But then the ones that I'm like, wait, but I really believe in what you do, and I know you're a genius, I know you care, and they secretly, silently talk themselves out of even doing business anymore. And I'm like, this imbalance needs to stop. And so
Yeah.
that's why I'm so passionate about helping people really find their unique perspective and voice in the world, so that they can be in their swim lane, which feels comfortable, but make a difference and still opt into the game. Because I think for most of us, we are seers, we are sensitive, and we know that the game is a game. We know that it's kind of rigged. We know that it's not really satisfying to pursue a 3D, type
Yeah.
thing, and money is not that satisfying, but we are actually needed in the we're actually needed in the game. You know what I mean? And so like,
Yeah.
we can bring this higher level intelligence into the game, and we can make it a better place for everybody. Like that's my why.
Hmm. So would you say when it comes to like your style of coaching and working with people, it's finding their genius, finding their voice, and really bringing it out to the world, right? Is that something you focus on mostly?
Yeah, recently for the past few years, that's really been the case for me, because I realized that um, how we show up, our personality has been especially curated by us to survive a traumatic childhood.
Yeah.
And actually, there are parts of us that are very playful, that are very joyful, that are really brilliant, that we forget about and we actively repress, because we're like, oh no, I need to be professional. Oh no, yeah,
Wow.
yes, exactly. But the interesting thing is, people already see us in a certain way. And I've discovered if you just align with the way that people see you, it makes communication, it makes marketing, it makes sales actually a lot easier than us trying to force ourselves to be someone that is not really us, but is a survival mask, if you will. And
Yeah.
so that's the work I'm doing now, is helping people really know who they are in their subconscious and bring that like but it's really like the original version of themselves out. Because when you're in that authentic energy, that true authentic energy, the information that you channel is
Yeah.
different. The energy and the boldness of how you show up in the world is different. Like it's a game changer.
Yeah. 100%. And we need just so much authenticity and all these gifts. I really, we talked about it before too, but you and me, I think like I when I see people, it's so easy for me to spot
Yes.
their gift. And I was like, oh my God, they're so talented with this. They have such a gift here. But sometimes it's so hard to turn this lens on ourselves and pull that out and sell it on some level, because it feels ingenuine, right? That's something we work through, right? Like selling. Now I'm myself and I don't want to sell, but I want to bring this to the world. So that's amazing that you help people like me and me to help with that part,
Yeah.
right?
Because there's no vision, there's no business, there's no product or service too small. Like you
Yeah.
could be selling, I saw a story recently. It was like some kid who had grew up with some sort of like mental impairment or disability, and he sells socks. And these socks, he employs people also with some sort of mental disability. And it's socks. We all have socks, there's like an endless supply of socks. But because like he just wanted to bring this vision to life, and thank goodness he has amazing parents, right, and support and all this stuff, like it becomes something bigger. So I don't want anyone to be like, well, but like the thing that I sell, a million people already sell. No, it's about how much you believe in it, how much like you're relentless about putting it into the world, talking about it, and maybe even tying it into your bigger mission. So like I don't like selling, Anna. Like I am just like, I don't like it. But I have a very clear mission, just like
Yeah.
you. I know, like, if I just talk about this one more time, then maybe one person will be, and that's why thank you so much for having me on this podcast, because of all the light workers that you have listening, maybe one person will be empowered, like, oh, I can do it. My business is not too silly or too small. No, it's not. It's all in your energetics, right?
Yeah. And it's all about bringing this authenticity of you, right? Like this example of this boy, like his authentic thing was, okay, I'm disabled, but I want to do this and I want to help other people find a job that are in similar situation as me. And that's his authentic expression of those socks, right?
Yes.
When somebody else maybe focus more on, I don't know, just having fun designs, right? And that will be theirs.
Exactly. Or matcha. I'm
Those
drinking
socks.
matcha. I'm addicted to matcha. I will
Yeah.
buy anyone's matcha. If any of your listeners sell matcha, I will buy your matcha, because I just love it. I love trying new things. I
Yeah.
love hearing your story about how you created your business and all that stuff, right? I feel like when I'm drinking this matcha, it's like me taking part of your journey towards perfecting this, whatever it is, this matcha, this whatever, it's like people want to be part of your journey, but you have to open up your journey for people to take part in.
Yes. Yes, I definitely got my hand slapped by you a couple times on our sessions. Okay, let's chat about. Actually, it's a good segue to this chaotic situation we are living in.
Mm.
2025. As Kabbalah would say, what a pleasure. When we meet with chaos and challenges in Kabbalah, there is this right concept, what a pleasure and welcoming. So I'm having this approach. But in all seriousness, how do you think, as an energy worker, as a coach, how do you think people can deal with this reality, or I don't know if this is not, should I call it reality,
It's
with the
definitely real. Yeah.
situation that is created for us?
Yeah. Yeah.
How can we do and thrive? Because it's possible to thrive in this chaos, but how can you do it? What is important? What are your tips, tricks? What can you give us and help us
Yeah.
with?
I think that's a really important question, Anna. And I think the first thing is you have to know, a lot of people are not going to like this, okay? You have to know that at a soul level, you wanted this so bad because secretly you love drama, secretly you love growth, secretly you love transformation, secretly you knew that you wanted to heal lifetimes and lifetimes and lineages of trauma, persecution, slavery, scarcity, disempowerment. And if your soul is ringing like I'm getting chills right now, just know that even though your human is like, what the fuck? I think most of the time my human is like, what the hell, soul? What is wrong with you? This is awful. And I think most of us have that dynamic where our human's like, just let me sit on the beach. And your soul is like, you're going to learn how to heal relationship trauma. And you're like, no, but just accept that that's what you chose. Okay. So stop
Yeah.
denying it, stop refusing it, stop rejecting it, stop trying to fight it, and just get into this really juicy state where you're like, all right, I know that, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And I still choose to believe that it's going to be for the best for me. I still choose to believe that I can still be safe no matter what. I can still choose to believe that my family's going to be okay no matter what, that, I can get through this and I can end up on top. I know this is forming the strongest part of me. I know that this is going to help me in some way. I don't know how, right? And you and I talked, and I've been sick for over 2 years, like continuously, not even off and on. Like maybe I get like a day or a week break, but then it comes back even worse. And I at some point, and being sick for me is a huge trigger. I was sick a lot as a kid, and so I go into a deep state of depression because I'm like, I don't even want to live because I feel so awful,
Mhm.
But now, after 2.5 years almost of going through it, I feel pretty strong. I feel pretty okay. I feel like, if this has to happen for another 2 years, I don't like it. I'm going through a detox. I'm doing everything in my power to be as healthy as I can be. And I have to tell you, Anna, like my baseline now is actually way healthier than it was even like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And if anything, that's good, right? That's
Yeah.
what you do.
Yeah. I love this approach because it's also, and kind of we talked about it a little bit before we started recording, but it's also about focusing on is like, what is the lesson here? What is the opportunity in this chaos, in this pain, in this challenge, right? Versus just focusing on pain, just on the challenge. That
Yeah.
won't change anything. But when we focus on, okay, what is the goal there? Because
Yes.
behind any kind of challenging situation, and health is very difficult because it's something that I feel like take so much for granted.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's so much like, what do you mean my body is not working properly? Like, like billions of people bodies are working properly, like, right? It should be a
Yeah.
given.
Yeah.
Um,
And my life was already busy and chaotic and hard. And now on top of that, I'm sick and I can't move and I can't, like I have less energy to do the 10 million things I need to do. Oh my gosh. And you know what? It's all these thoughts. It's all the ways that we torture ourselves show up during these times when we're being broken open. And I think that's where I did a TikTok recently where I said that I really feel like these difficult situations are a portal where we can choose to walk through and choose a stronger version of ourselves.
yes, talked about it. I saw that like a cheat portal, right? Jumping portals. Can you
Yeah,
talk about?
like you did it when you told me offline that story that happened to you in your car.
Oh, the hijacking. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you share that real quick? Because you literally walked through a portal by your choices that time.
Okay, so I was driving downtown Chicago and I was just sitting on the red light and somebody slightly hit me. Two gigantic guys came out of that car that slightly hit me on passenger side door and started pounding on my window and get out, get out. We have to do report. How are you driving? I don't even remember because I got so scared and I was like, no, no. I was like, take a picture of my license and go. And I started driving, and they cut me off. And again, to get out of the car and started harassing me. And then I called the police, and I showed them that I called the police, and they disappeared.
That's
So it was
terrifying.
yes, it was very terrifying. But as we talked about it just a minute ago, I went through initial emotions, right? So when police showed up, I just fell apart, and they were like, do you need an ambulance? And I was telling them, no, these are all just emotions coming through, because I was holding these emotions. This poor police guys are like looking at, because I really was holding myself, protecting myself from this guy, like, staying sane and in my body, and was holding it all. So when I felt safe, I just fell apart, but I allow myself to do it because I knew I need to move this energy through, right? The emotions, energy in motion. So all this had to go through. And for next couple days, I was a little bit shaken up. I didn't want to drive a car. But then I was like, okay, let's focus on most important thing here, which is I protected myself.
Right.
I stood up to the guys, to a man who, in the past I had sexual trauma, and I didn't stood up for myself, and I betrayed myself on some level. That's how I felt a lot of my life. And here I said no, and I asked for help, and I get myself out of it. So instead of taking a fear, and I'm getting so many chills. So
Me too.
that's what you are talking about. Like, instead of taking a fear out of this, I took a power, right? Um, and
That's a portal. You did not, you're a different person now, don't you feel, than you were before that situation?
yes,
Yeah. And I wouldn't wish that situation. I actually didn't realize there were two guys. Like, I think that would really, and I didn't realize they hit your car. Like, that actually would really scare me. But like the fact that you, before that situation and like now after, you're a different person. I can feel it. You just like have this like solidity and this strength and this like, and I think you almost come off as like, I feel proud that I was able to do that, which is amazing. That's huge.
yeah, definitely. Because that's a different person, because the old person, old me, right, wouldn't stand up for myself, right? Would get out of the car and give the car away.
Wow. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I changed the pattern. I
Yes.
discovered that um, each decade of my life, I'd had some kind of sexual trauma, literally. And that
Wow.
was 40s was my first time that
Wow.
it wasn't sexual trauma, but it was very similar, right? Men wanted
Invasive, yeah.
exclusive. So I feel like this is this breaking of the pattern, which is portal, right? Like, that's where we access new level of self, a new level of us, right? That's what you're talking about with the
Oh my gosh. Okay, end the podcast here. This is it. Like, this is the story, right? Like, I think you just showed that so beautifully. It really is an ending of patterns. Like, it if I could sum up, right, like your question of like what's going on now, it's an ending of patterns, and you choose a different future. You choose a different story. Like that is so brilliant. Oh my gosh.
yes. But how do you do it? Because again, I really think that health is a little bit different. So how do you stay and access this new levels of self and staying strong for your kid and for your family and deal with that? Because I think that's a little bit different.
For me, how I do it, it might not be for everybody, but I
Yeah,
know there's no other option. And I
nice.
mean, I know the other option is to just kind of give up and, complain about things and get dragged down to like, like not the fun 3D reality, like the horrible 3D reality. And then I'll get sick more and then I'll become a victim again. And, so I know the only option is for me to get stronger. And when I really look at it from that lens, I can see so many ways where society and even the spiritual community wants to breed weak people who are dependent on like, oh, I need to like do this manifestation thing correctly so that I can make money and all this stuff. And then, I can prove that I'm spiritual or whatever, like weird things that like, you and I had talked offline about kind of like propaganda and programming and stuff. And I really see that so much now when I see it from the perspective of, is society building strong people or weak, dependent victims? And I just choose to be a strong person. Maybe strong isn't the right word, but that's the energy that I feel like, a strong, sovereign, confident person, because I think those energetics in whatever you do. So whether you're working a 9 to 5 or you're a multi-passionate, have 10 different businesses person, right? If you are confident, you will activate a level of reality that is not available to, let's say, your carbon copy twin who looks just like you, had the same education, but is not confident.
Yeah.
Confidence gives you an access to people treating you and stopping, when you don't like it. People giving you things and you being able to receive it. Life giving you things and you being able to receive it. You being able to say no to things that, like you said, maybe in the past you would have been like, yes, yes, yes. But now you're like, no. confidence is, I think, the ultimate life hack.
Yeah, and it's something that people think that we are born with confidence. No, 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 no. This is a learned skill, and you can grow your confidence daily, right?
Yes, you have to. If you don't have tests, then you can't be confident. You know,
Yeah, it's
that's
almost like daily choosing different patterns, right? Like, so your less confident self in the face of sickness, whatever, would do this. What can I do different, right? Like, how can I break this pattern of what I usually did as a less confident person, or less confident than yesterday, right?
yes, yes, exactly. It's those little micro decisions, which I think are mostly managing our thoughts.
Yes.
Because my husband has ADHD, I do too. And so I didn't know this, but like a part of ADHD is like you have constant negative thoughts. And the thing is, I don't say mine out loud. He says his out loud, and it's so triggering and annoying to me. But then, like, I actually don't even know what I was trying to get at. but, but it's like sometimes it's just managing those thoughts. So even though like I tell him to stop, and sometimes he stops, because it triggers my own negative thoughts, me managing just a few of those negative thoughts and choosing to refocus, choosing to whatever, we have a different relationship just because I do that. I have a different relationship. I have a different level of productivity just because I choose to manage those little, loud negative thoughts in my head. And I'm more confident because of it.
Yeah, I love that. And I think I have the similar experience, because I think my husband, sorry, I hope he doesn't listen, but he's like super wise and super spiritually advanced. But sometimes, like in this practical things, like as a woman, like you said, being a neck, and even today we had this situation, and I was like, he was in such a bad mood, and I knew what it was about. And I was like, or I can respond with the equal energy, or I can focus on like preserving mine. And then when he left for work, I quickly texted him, like, do you think this was about this and this and this? Maybe it's something to think about. And this
Yes.
is kind of to what you said, like being this neck, right? And like working on your energy and your thoughts and your part, and
Yeah.
allowing the other person to have their own process, right? Because who are we by the end of the day to tell
Yeah.
somebody else, like, oh, you should have a different mood or different energy, or they are in
Yes.
their own space on some
Can I get on this tangent? Is this a tangent? Do you want me to
yes,
get on this tangent about women
yes,
and
please, welcome. I love your
okay.
tangents.
Yes, because I think women, we are strategically overwhelmed by the patriarchy that wants to keep us from ascending because they just know the data that, like young girl. I mean, I have a son, okay? I see like my little cousins, I'm like, man, guys should not be running the world because women are just like so much
Yeah,
more mature, right? And so they see the data that women can and have been, even though we're oppressed, socially, financially, physically, every way, women have the capacity to be very, very like leaders in a high capacity. And we get thrown so many things where now, especially in America, women are expected to take care of the kids, the household stuff, manage a lot of the emotions, and also do a full-time job and also do all of these things. And I know it's overwhelming, okay? But here's the thing, ladies, that we're not taught, which is when you really own that role, which is the feminine role of being like almost the emotional regulator of the household, you can turn that household into whatever you want.
oh, I
And
love it.
right. And here's the thing, like, I hope my husband doesn't listen. I know he's not gonna listen to this either. I hope none of our husbands listen to this. But like when like my husband, he's an American dude, right? It'd be different if I married a traditional Chinese guy. He's like this American dude from the South. And so that's great. But, you know, we American guys kind of grow up with almost like a 50-50 mentality. It's like, well, you're capable. You went to school. You have a successful business. You should be paying for stuff. And so I came from that to now, like he is basically the full provider of everything. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that takes so much pressure off me. And I still have my business. I still love it. I still do a lot of my business, but because I don't have the pressure, and it took a while to get there. And it took a while for me to basically be like, well, actually this is really healthy for me. I really need this, you know? So like, because I was able to do that, and now I have more room to manage, honestly, like his emotions, because men are really, even little boys, it's been shown that little boys are so bad at managing their emotions because they actually feel it so much more Like they've done so many studies. Little boys just like it's almost like that's why men have heart problems a lot, because like they get overwhelmed with stress. They're actually very sensitive. And so like if we really took that on as a role, and I know we're all overwhelmed, I know, but if we can use it for our advantage, meaning like, hey, hey, maybe we should like go on vacations, 2 or 3 times a year. Maybe we should do that. If you take on that role of emotional management, it will actually help your partner, your masculine energy dominant partner, whether it's male or female. It will help them have more space and more appreciation for them to give you what you want, because every masculine energy dominant partner wants to give you what you want. Believe it or not, I did not believe this. We went to therapy because I did not believe it. And then in therapy, I was like, that's cool. I really didn't know that that's what you cared about. In their soul, in their heart, in their DNA, they want to provide. But because as women, we're taking on so much, we're exhausted, we're, taking on a lot of masculine energy, we're not allowing them to provide, and we're not guiding them to providing. I was just asking for the bare minimum. I was like, listen, I don't need all of this from you. I will do everything. I just need, and that was not the right way. But women, if we really own our power, as energy healers for our families, we can start making requests. And the requests will be well received, because it's not this energy of like, well, what are you doing? I did so much. What are you doing? It's not a blame energy. It's they acknowledge that they can, for example, come home and be safe, and they will give you everything. They will give you everything you want.
Yeah, it's like a dance. It becomes a dance. That's why I love to
Beautiful.
like dance with my husband. Like I constantly take him for a spin at home, like randomly, because I love this idea that, our energies dance together. And I think I love what you said about managing emotions and being in more on this feminine, which allows him and masculine to provide more. But I'm also thinking like, this whole idea of boss babe, and this cult of like strong woman who is super successful. Those are women who have to like pull more masculine to
Yeah.
survive in that world, right? To even achieve
And
something.
then masculine energy dominant women. Most of
Yeah.
the women in those higher power positions, like it's more natural for them. They don't burn out as easily because they have a natural masculine competitive focus.
But I think what's coming up now, Anna, is that we are learning as a woman that we can create, to your point, from this energy of flow, right? So he take over a lot of providing, right? Like you said, you don't have that pressure, and you are able to bring to the world more things from the energy of truly birthing something through the flow versus this chop chop chop. Oh my god, I get so many chills even on my face now. Chop 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 energy of productivity that is very, very masculine. I love what you're bringing up, and we as a women, we have to learn that, relearn that, because we
Yes.
lost it because of the cult of boss babe,
Yeah.
which I am the big victim of. Not
Yes.
victim, I chose it.
You
But
chose
I
it
can
and
go
you went
better.
to the highest ranks. And then you're like, wow, this is not the energy that feeds me, that nourishes me, that allows me to be in my feminine energy. And yeah, masculine energy women will do the best publicly and financially, because that's actually part of their DNA. It's very similar to that masculine DNA where they want to go hunt, they want to go prove themselves, they want to go make the big money, and then like for us, it's like, yeah, we want to do that too. But if we do it in our feminine, softer way, it's actually more powerful and it's more regenerative. But we have so much guilt, like you said, of like, oh, I don't want to be just like a stay-at-home mom. But actually, having some of that soft life, it's going to feed you and nourish you, and you could surpass even your husband. My goal, actually, I haven't told him this, but my goal is to surpass him financially, but have a soft life. So like, that's what I'm working on. I've been investing in crypto like no one's business. Every last bit I get, I'm like putting into crypto, because I really believe that that's like the future.
Yeah,
Not financial advice, everybody, not financial advice, but that's just
thank
what Anna
you. We're not giving financial advice here.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And I love this idea of like creating from a different space, that we really have to relearn the softer one, like you mentioned, more feminine and more allowing versus creating a harsh creation.
Yeah, we
Because
have to
that's
make
kind
that
of
cool
like,
somehow.
yeah, what is it?
We have to make it cool somehow, because right now the only girlies I see leading a soft life are the ones who are kind of like dating and want to get like a rich man, which is great. You know, that's actually kind of smart. I wish I knew that earlier. But like, there has to be something for us too, like women who are married to lovely people and are just realizing, oh, I need to reclaim my softness. I need to reclaim my intuition, my feminine energy. There's a lot of power there. And it goes back to what you said before about authenticity. It's just being authentic to your energy. Like I can tell, Anna, like you are a feminine energy dominant person, feminine energy dominant woman. And I bet like if I go to your house, you're going to feed me so well. I bet like there's just like your house is like, you know, just like beautiful, and your kids are probably just like, you know, like so wonderful and bubbly. Like the fact that you dance with your husband, like that is a gift to him. That is a gift to the world. We need to own that more.
He hates it. I know he hates it.
No, but he secretly loves it. He secretly loves it.
I think he secretly loves it, but he like outside he's like, oh Jesus, here we go. Here we go again.
Yeah, but he'll miss it if you don't ever do it again.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, no, I'm the snake. I was like, whatever you say, you're going to turn around and dance with me, you know?
Yes, yeah. That is no, that's the vibe of the feminine energy is like, hey, masculine, I know you're doing taxes or what, because that will help him make more money, be more productive, whatever, because he feels connected to you. He feels his emotions are regulated, even though he visibly is like, eh, secretly, he longs for it. He needs it. He loves it. That's why married men live so much longer.
Yeah. Some brought up something. Oh, it's, you know what you just brought up for me, that this masculine and feminine, what we have to understand at this point, the sooner we understand it, the sooner we can bring kind of more harmony to this world that is so needed, is that we need both, right? Like we mentioned, like we need both of those energies. None of these energies is worse or better, right? The problem was that the masculine energy was so dominant for so many ages,
And suppressing the feminine, actively suppressing.
so now I feel like what's going on when I step back and I see energies of the world, now we have this suppression, maybe not now, because we are again pendulum to the other side, but there was pendulum on the side of the women, that it was like feminist, me too, and all those movements that really brought the women voice to the DEI, the, you know, making sure that women are on the table, really brought women to the forefront. And I think that's how it works, right? Pendulum from one side needs to go to the other to slowly finally, you know,
Yeah.
be in this position of balance, right? But the sooner we understand that it's not about, like you are saying, like bringing it out, this masculinity, managing it, being strategic, being the snake about it, to the head, to the masculine energy, um
Yeah.
that's where it is. And instead of pushing for feminism too much, we need to be strategic and think, you know, think step ahead, right? When we want the pendulum to be in the middle, to be in harmony, right? So instead of
Absolutely.
going there, let's just go right away to, let's just go to the portal, through the portal, like you were saying.
Yeah, and I actually think like the feminism, me too, like those are really important
Oh, that
and
was healing. That was healing. We needed that healing.
super healing. And at the same time, I feel like a softer feminine approach. Like I just see, you know, the wives and daughters and mothers of all of the men out there just being like, I'm so disappointed in you. Like I really thought that you cared about women's rights. You know, I really, but in that way where it's like, the masculine hates disappointing. If I saw women everywhere all over the world, I think there was a movement in Greece earlier last year where they were like, we're withholding sex from our husbands, from men, until they support, you know, some sort of like
Yeah.
women's rights or women's health rights, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so brilliant, because like that hits them in their core, in their soul. And if women were just collectively, like, we don't need to fight, right? But if we're just like, oh, I'm just so disappointed. I thought you were so much better than this. Yeah, I really think that would actually move mountains. If we claimed our feminine power and truly claimed that we are the leaders of the household, the men are the providers. They give us the stuff, but we choose what meal to cook. We choose what direction we go to. We choose how our family culture is. We choose what kind of values we have. We choose, women have so much power, and we've forgotten about this. And I think that every woman, this is coming back to my mission as like light workers will change the world. Every woman who is married to especially a masculine energy dominant partner, if you just took your role as creating the best relationship, the best household dynamic ever, the best values, like that adds so much to the world. That adds such a ripple effect. I think that would actually change the world. If Priscilla Chan tomorrow and her daughters were like, hey, Mark, like you're so powerful, you're so great. And we were just kind of concerned about the fact that Facebook isn't fact checking stuff. Like, you wouldn't want stuff to harm our daughters on Facebook, do you? Like, I think if she did that for a few months,
Yeah.
like he would change his mind.
Yeah, 100%. Love it.
Priscilla Chan.
I hope they're not censoring it, because they're going to shift out my podcast. We mentioned them so many times.
Maybe they'll listen.
Let's switch the gears slightly.
Okay.
Should we talk about something that is like on my mind a lot as we are shifting to this new era of spirituality? Because there's no doubt about it. The old religions, I always say, I have nothing against them. There's certain elements of it that I disagree with, but if it helps you live better life, be better person, love the world and others better, go for it. But there is definitely need for new spirituality, and that is showing up with the resurfacing of new age and all these different people who are talking about manifestation, who are talking about energy. Even I consider myself on some level spiritual worker and spiritual person and spiritual wisdom seeker and speaker. So how in this era do you think we should protect ourselves and can protect ourselves from people who, unfortunately, like within any other occupation or vertical of our life, may want to take advantage, right? Are not that genuine. Their heart is not in the best place, or nor intentions.
Oh, yeah. When I look at my own life and when I followed spiritual leaders or worked with coaches or whatever, but then it became very obvious that they just didn't have the same values, and they were really good at selling an image of themselves that they didn't actually embody, and they were kind of like not great, not great for me. When I looked at the reason why I signed up for them, it was because they were like so charismatic. It was because they had these platforms where clearly they must be doing something good, because so many people, right? So many people love them. And I felt like if I worked with this coach or if I followed this person, like I would get so much out of it. I'd be able to triple my business. I'd be able to become this thing. And then that's all ego stuff. People who are in their ego know how to speak to your ego. And that's what marketing has been for the longest time. When people say bro marketing, it's like, they're literally like, yeah, you could be this and you can make this much money and you can have this much impact and you could be famous. And like that energy that feeds your ego, and you're so excited. You're like, that's probably when you should take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who are really embodying truth and true love and wisdom, and I see this actually with the channelers too. Like, there are a lot of people who channel higher intelligence now, like public more than ever before. And some of them, like some of them I'm like, oh, I get what they're saying and their message is so compelling, but it doesn't feel right for me. Usually the people who are really embodied and aligned and coming from love, they're the ones with a smaller following.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones who are less in your face. Their voice is actually softer. They're speaking less to your head, and they're kind of saying simple messages of love, simple messages of like, hey, the universe really loves you and you really can do this. And the thing is, like, we don't really want to hear that. We're like, that's too simple. Like, I need to do all of these things, or I want the person who's like teaching me all of these methods and checklists and all of that stuff. But really, I do believe this, like 80 to 90% of our success is our energy.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to get some structure, you need to get some focus, you need to have some sort of a plan. But if you get your energy in a place where you really truly in your soul believe that the universe is here to help you, where you truly believe that your life is a life plan of success, and
Yeah.
you truly believe that what you're doing is like good for the world and whatever, like you're like 80-90% there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that will protect you. Your own inner stability will always protect you from
Yeah. So
whatever it
like
is.
you're healing, you healing yourself,
Yes.
a greater protection, because then you can filter through bullshit, right? Then you are not, your feet go, okay, I love that.
Yes, and please hire people to help you heal. Hire people who do amazing work and actually care about you, like Anna. Hire people who don't just see you as
Like
another, oh,
Anna.
same. Yeah, hire all the Annas in your life. But it's like the people, you can tell when someone cares about you, right? And it's like so important because so many of us need people to care about us, but also it like there's there's a frequency of healing that you tap into, Anna, and I'm sure your experiences where you like just really like love and care about this person, you know, like in a healthy way, but you're like you give them the good stuff because that's just the frequency that you're tapped into. And I've always, I think my unfair advantage, if you will, quote unquote, to use a bro term, is I have always invested literally like almost every single dime that I've had in my own healing in hiring people because I know I'm smart enough to know that there are blocks in me that I can feel but I can't see. And I know someone else can help me heal that block and I can fast forward, you know, I can skip, you know, 10 years of suffering. Why not? That's worth it to me. Take my
Mhm.
money. Do you know what I mean? Because I know fundamentally my belief system is when I am fully like solid in myself, I don't need to be perfect. We're always healing, right? But when I feel really solid in myself and when I'm constantly working myself, I know that the best luck always happens to me. I know the serendipitous thing
Yeah.
always happens to me. And I know this because I live with someone who has a lot of negative thoughts going and he's getting better and better and better, you know. You're welcome. He's getting, but I will see like literally like we're side by, we're in the same car, but stuff happens to him. We're in the same restaurant, but his food order is wrong. You know, mine's is perfect. You know, but something, you know, his boxes, his, I don't even want to say this, his packages for the past month, Anna, have been everything is damaged, like almost every single package. And I get my packages early. I got a free box of warm cookies from somebody, just like, you know, and he's like, do we live in the same reality? I was like, yeah, we live in the same reality.
Yeah.
Was
I
this,
love that. I love that advice because and it also goes back to this idea of chaos we are experiencing now, right? Like invest in your health, self and the healing because that will allow you to stand up to fakeness, to filter through fakeness, to filter through bullshit, and to stand up to chaos, whatever is going around you. I love it.
yeah,
And to your point, I feel like also some people are saying about all this surface of coaches. There's so many coaches there. Like we need people to support each other.
yeah,
I
more
love
people.
I see them as therapists of the future, right? I go to my therapist and I dig in the past and we take out the childhood, which is good. I think you have to sometimes take a step back. And I like to do it because I need to understand. Like that's how I'm wired. I am analytical, but when you work with coach, it's all about this therapeutic approach to the future.
I love that you're like a therapist of the future. Yeah, because the coach is really about, okay, like what are your goals? Like
Yeah,
what do you want to be, you know,
yeah.
5 years from now or
Let's
whatever.
focus on that. So kind of like let's not focus on trauma. Let's focus on the good side. Like how can we use that what came out from the trauma to achieve whatever, or what is
Yeah.
maybe slightly blocking it? Right? How can we unblock it and reframe it?
Yeah, and actually, in the future, I mean, right now onward for the next like decades, spiritual people, healers, coaches, are going to be more needed than ever, and it's going to be a much more thriving industry, but in a solid way, not in like kind of in the past, it was a little scammy, a little sleazy, but because like people are going to be put through so many constant changes and trials and people are going to be like, I need someone to help me. And you better show up. All you people listening who have something that can help people, you need to show up now because even though you're not getting like, let's say the clients or the engagement that you want right now, trust me, the floodgates are going to open and you're going to be happy that you kind of like continued on your little TikTok journey or continued, you know, having a client here and there. Like you're going to be so thankful because people are going to be so lost. Like, you think people are lost now, just wait till even next month, March. Just wait till March. You guys listen to me. Just wait until March. People are going to be like losing their minds.
Yeah. But it's going to, we are going to all survive it, and it's going to be okay. And it's going to be a catharsis to something better. That's my approach.
Because you listen to this podcast and
Yeah.
this episode, you're going to be equipped with wisdom that
Yeah.
you can then survive and thrive.
You know what just came to me, and I know we need to wrap up because you have another meeting, but you are one of this person, I get chills right now, that you bring the best in people. You really do. And you always bring the best in me. It's one of the best conversation I had, Anna.
This is amazing. I could talk to you all day.
I know. It's like literally. The one final question. I always, we learn from each other constantly. I love like when somebody is successful and is doing great in life. And what is helping you? What is inspiring you lately? Is it a podcast? Is it a book? Is it an app that helps you in a business? What is popping into your mind right now that you want to share, that maybe something that you are using again that is helpful or inspiring or bettering your life in any capacity?
Okay, maybe you can relate, Anna, as a creative. I am constantly reading maybe 5 or 6 different books at one time, but every book has a different thing. Yeah. And so like sometimes like I'm in this analytical mode and I want to learn about spirituality. I have my spiritual books, but there's a book that I'm reading called Shantaram. I can't remember the guy's name, but it's like a really thick book about this Australian prisoner who escaped prison and then landed in India, but then like led this incredible life where he became a doctor, but like in a slum, and he's not a real doctor. But anyway, like the reason why I'm saying this is because that book for me is written from someone who deeply loves India. And the way that he writes it, it's just like the story is so, I mean, it's really traumatic, but it's really beautiful. And like when I need doses of beauty and love, there are places that I go to. And so I think for people to really lean into their hobbies, their passions, and maybe it's like Pinterest, or maybe it's your vision board, or maybe it's like a piece of music. Find places where it just, like you said, brings out the best of you. It reminds you of the beauty of life. It reminds you of like the things that you love. It reminds you, have that handy. It's in my closet. I'm in my closet like every night making TikToks for my kids to sleep. But I like sometimes I'll just read like a few pages and like, oh, feel good. And then I'll go to bed.
Oh, I love it. Even like this small, again, going back to advice of what to do in chaos, have the small things that can bring you to baseline of happiness, right? Or shift you back to the different portal.
Yes, because we can easily forget how beautiful life is.
Yes.
We can easily forget that, but it's still beautiful, and you just need to remind yourself.
Yeah. I will share where people can find you, your TikTok, your site. Is there's anything that is coming up for you? This probably will, I will probably publish it next week. So anything that is coming up from you, or any offer or anything you are offering, you want to share?
Find me on TikTok. That's where I enjoy the most. My handle is Ms. Anna Tsui. So ms.ANNATSUI. If there's any deviation from that, they are a scam.
Yes, I saw you have scammers.
So many, yes. I'm like, wow, these scammers are making a good living.
Greatest. What is it? What is the saying? Greatest. What is it? Greatest approval of success is when somebody's copying you. Oh my God, I'm so butchering it.
No, that's true. No, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, so I would never DM you for readings or anything like that. So don't do that. But I also am doing a 5-week content creation intensive. By the time this comes out, it'll already be started. But I'll have a wait list out for the next one. And that's like me helping you find your unique voice and why your people want to follow you, and actually giving you a persona, energetics, topics, talking points that you can use to really embody a different personality. Because I really see it as almost an alter ego. It's actually really who you are, but it's going to feel like an alter ego because you're not sure. Like I told somebody the other day, I was like, no, you are the supportive daddy. You need to embody supportive daddy energy, because that's why your people want to see you. And we need to change up the topics that you're talking about. And like instantly, it's so interesting. You can look at the comments of his post now, and it's like,
Yeah.
Love, love, love. Oh, I needed love versus before. It was like, oh, this is great, but now it's like, I love this. And I'm telling you, that is the emotional impact you have on people. People. So anyway, you can go my TikTok and Linktree or link in bio,
Yeah,
and
I'll definitely link it.
yeah.
Anna, thank you so much for your time today, for all the work, all the light you bring and wisdom to this world. And I'm just so grateful for you. I really do.
Same here. I would say the same thing for you, Anna. This has like been such a blast, and thank you for sharing all your wisdom with all your people. They appreciate it so much.
Thanks, Anna.
Bye.
I am